Hello there, my name is Lee Rogers and welcome to this, my YouTube channel, Crankpunk Rides. Today we're going to be taking a look at a cycling shoe that's come from China. It was sent to me by the actual brand. They got in touch with me because they saw the review that you might have seen that I did for the speed cycling shoe, and the link for that is down at the bottom, so you can go and check that out for reference. So one of their marketing team got in touch with me and they said they'd seen the video and they asked me if I would like to review their shoe as well, which I thought was quite brave, seeing as the best thing that I said about the last shoe that I reviewed, the Speed, was that basically it wasn't absolutely terrible. But I agreed, no money's changed hands, this is going to be an honest and fair review. So before we get too deep into this, I'll give you a quick look at the shoes. There you go. That's what I saw yesterday morning when I opened the box. The brand name is here, it's a Lingque or a Lingque. And the one striking thing that I noticed, and you may have too, is this kind of PVC style Little Red Riding Hood, super bright red, lipstick red material that's there and also on there. I'm not a big fan of that. It kind of looks like there should be a 6-inch stiletto coming down at the back. But before we take a deeper look at the shoes, and this is mostly for the beginners and say intermediate riders out there, let's take a look at what you need to be looking for in a good cycling shoe. Number one, stiffness. Now, the stiffer the sole is the better, because as you push down into the pedal, through the pedal with your leg, if you have a soft sole, the energy that you're putting through will be dissipated. If you have a stiff sole, you get more return for your power with each pedal push. So, put simply, the stiffer the sole, the faster. And number two is comfort. When you're cycling, you don't want any discomfort anywhere on the shoe. You want no hot spots from underneath the pedal. You don't want for the back of the heel to be rubbing. You don't want the toes to be rubbing. Also, you don't want the shoe to be too wide that you can't really get any purchase. So comfort is very important, and trust me, I've ridden in a lot of shoes that weren't very comfortable in some very tough races. The last thing you want to be doing when you're cycling is to be worrying too much about your shoe. And then we get to number three, which is the price. You can pay a lot of money for cycling shoes, anywhere up to $600, $700 US, and you can also go out and spend $30 or $40. But generally, the rule is the more you spend, the better quality you get, but it all has to fit within your budget. If I was just starting out cycling, I wouldn't be wanting to spend too much money. I'd want to make sure that I actually enjoy cycling. I like to wear these kind of shoes. So that's an important thing to consider as well. How much money have you got, and what do you want to get for your money? Now let's take a look at this Lingque shoe in a bit more detail. So as mentioned, I mean, it's red and it's black. Those are sort of the industry standard colors of that go together. You see them on a lot of bikes and a lot of clothing, a lot of saddles and what have you. As mentioned, I'm not a big fan of the overall aesthetic of the shoe. I don't really like this bright lipstick red PVC, but other than that, you know, it's a cycling shoe. One thing I did notice on a lot of cheap cycling shoes, this wire can be very, very thin, but this one is actually quite sturdy, so that's not a bad point. And one more thing I'm not a big fan of on cycling shoes is the Velcro, the dreaded Velcro. Any of you that have been riding for more than about 5 or 6, 7 years will remember that that used to be everywhere. So with that, it looks a little bit dated. This isn't really going to hamper performance in any way. It's just one of those things, a personal thing. I don't particularly like to have Velcro on my shoes. Now, as far as the feel of it, this nylon sole, if you look, I'm going to give it a good squeeze there. It's actually quite sturdy. I'm quite impressed with that. Now, the manufacturer says that on Amazon, these are selling for $65 US. You can get them for about $42 US plus shipping. So it is quite a reasonably priced shoe. And to get a sole that has got that stiffness is pretty good. It's not flexing at the back. The other thing that is a little bit surprising that's quite good, maybe it's because of this bright red material that I don't like, but the cup is actually quite sturdy. I mean, I have to try them on and give them a few sprints, but it feels like that's going to support the heel pretty well. Another issue that I've seen, however, is that they do seem to be quite wide. I don't know if you can see that, a bit hard to show, but they do seem to be quite wide and quite deep as well. And I was looking at some of the reviews online, and some people said they're a little bit too big. I will be checking that, but that could be one of the issues. We'll have to wait and see. So there it is. That is the Lingque shoe. And before we move on, I'd like to show you the shoe that I'm coming from. Now, if you remember last time, I was coming from the Lake cycling shoes. Those have kind of fallen to pieces after 6 years of very good service. And I went and I got a pair of these, very popular, the Shimano RC7. These come in at about 130 US dollars. As you can see with these, we've got two boas, and they're boas, they're not boa copies. We have a carbon sole, which is pretty stiff. We have the breathable upper here as well. I have to say though, this shoe is very popular, but I really don't like it. The problem for me is that this upper feels very soft, not in a good way, kind of like cardboard. When you go out in the rain, you kind of get this feeling that it's going to fall off your feet. Also, for a shoe that costs 150 US dollars, which might seem cheap in this crazy cycling world where you can buy a helmet for $400 and a jersey for 300 and a bike for 15,000. I still think that's quite a lot of money, and I don't think that these are value for money. I think either go up a little bit in cash or come down a little bit in cash. For me, this is not a shoe that I enjoy wearing. I don't notice it in terms of discomfort, but I do notice when I'm climbing and when I'm sprinting especially, my foot just feels loose and like I'm not getting a really good return on my power, which is one of the things that we don't want in a good cycling shoe. So this is the shoe that I'm coming from, the Shimano RC7 for 150, 160 US dollars. And this is the shoe that we're going to, the Lingque LQ1. So let's get out there and go for this ride. So here we are, just riding around the ocean sort of walkway in my hometown of Dansway. Those lovely clouds up there. Beautiful. Man feeding his pigeons. Well, we're not off to a good start with these shoes. I've literally ridden about 700 meters from my house to be down here on the waterfront to do a little sort of first impressions. And the first thing is, number one, these shoes are absolutely huge. Looking online, I could see people saying that they were too big, a size up. I'm normally a 44.5, around about there, but if the shoe fits tight, I'll go for a 45. I actually mentioned that when I was asked what size shoe did I want. If they're tight, a 45. If they're big, normal, a 44. I got a 45. And I've got to say, there's enough room down here to build a jacuzzi. Honestly, there's tons of space. And it has this, gives me this sensation when I'm walking. You know when you put on a pair of flippers or fins and you're going scuba diving and you've got to walk down the beach, that kind of really weird sort of jerky walk that you have to do. It's a really strange feeling to be wearing a pair of cycling shoes that are this cavernous inside and also really wide. The next issue I have with them is just the way that the fasteners are working. I thought that the Velcro wasn't going to make too much difference in terms of performance, but what I've noticed already is that it's starting to deform the material and it's only pulling really from one side. So I'm not getting any sort of tightness on an already too wide shoe. One more point about the finishing that I don't really like is the way this little white part here is sticking out. It kind of looks like it's undone. As you can see, it looks like it's kind of already fallen apart. I'm not a big fan of this red either, this kind of piping. It would have been nice knowing that the shoes fit big to get a 44. I didn't. However, even though it's a 45, there's about a good inch of space in the front of the shoe. And like I say, they're very, very wide indeed. Okay, now we're gonna try a little sprint. Oh. Hup, hup, hup. Still, same as last time, I'm getting too old for this. Perfect timing, accompanied by the busker over there. I'll have to go and give him a 100 NT. So just a little sprint, just messing around really. I'm out of breath. Okay, good point. The sole's quite good. Like I said, it's stiffer than the previous shoe, the speed shoe that I reviewed. And I just felt like I had more purchase on it. There's so much space in the toe though that it's kind of slipping around. However, I could feel a better return from this sole. So yeah, I'm gonna go now and do about 40K up in these lovely hills, and I will report back after that. So here we are, it's day 2 and I'm just out on a ride with the Taipei slow cyclists and a couple of other friends. There's about 14 of us. We're actually on our way to do an ITT, a little 8K, that's little for Taiwan, a little 8K hill climb route. And I'm wearing the shoes, I'm checking those out today. I'll give a full report of that when I get back. And yeah, it's been a bit of a cloudy, overcast day, but at least it's not boiling hot. Say hello to the camera, boys.
Hey!
So as you can see, it's not always sunny in Taiwan. Sometimes, quite often actually, especially up north, just north of Taipei, we do get pretty stinky weather. And so, let's sum up these shoes. Well, here it is again. Just to give you a quick reminder, there we go. I've done now about 140k in the shoe. I have to say, okay, good points. The sole is actually pretty good. As mentioned before, it's not too soft. You get quite a good return on the power, which is a good thing for a shoe of this price. The big problem was the size of it. I had to put 2 insoles into each shoe just to get some purchase on it. So I would recommend that you go for a size down on your normal size. That would seem to be the way to go with the shoe. As mentioned on the Amazon reviews, a lot of people gave it good reviews, but some people did say that it fits too big, and that's exactly the experience that I had with this shoe. Now, the Lingque shoe comes from a trading company in Shanghai, so it's an OEM company, and this seems to be their first foray into the world of trying to build their own cycling shoe brand, and that's pretty much reflected in the quality and the look of the shoe. And this is the black version of the LQ1. It does come in green, which you can see here, and also in white. But they do have a new model coming out, the LQ3, which you can see here. Aesthetically, it looks better. The styling is more modern. The fastening system has been improved, and the sole is different too. And perhaps I'll get one of those to test out and try too. So overall, would I recommend the LQ1? Well, it's a yes and a no. If you're an intermediate rider or experienced and you're used to riding with a carbon sole, which is very stiff and gives you a great return on your power, then this isn't the shoe for you. The fact that there is only one boa and it's not really a boa, it's kind of a boa copy, and the Velcro fastening system, which I mentioned before, it kind of rules it out if you're an experienced rider and you want a good return from your shoe in terms of power and comfort and a good, nice fit. If though, you're just getting started in cycling and you want to try an SPD compatible shoe, this isn't a bad choice. There were no hot spots in the sole, which is another good thing that you need to look for in a good shoe. $60, $65 would be a push for a shoe like this, but $45, $50, not bad. Not great, but not bad. Well, as ever, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and please subscribe, that'd be awesome. And if you have any questions about the shoe or about training and coaching, feel free to send me a message or to comment on the video. All the links are going to be down at the bottom. And do take care, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.